If you are worried that TV licensing can enter your home without your permission, then you need to watch this video. And I know that some of you are worried that they can enter your home without your permission because some of you have sent me this headline here, which says, BBC TV licensing warns UK households we can enter without permission. And it's not only that, because my YouTuber friend Chili John Carney has also released a video on this where people have contacted him because they are worried about it and they've told him about it as well. And he's done 1 or 2 videos about TV licensing before as well. I'll link this below as well, but listen to this.
Look at the headline on this. It proper wound me up. Look at this. BBC TV licensing warns UK households we can enter without permission. You can't. Long story short, if you don't want to watch the whole video, they can't.
Now, he does go on to talk about a caveat regarding a warrant, but I'll come back to that later. But as a default standard position, TV licensing cannot enter your home without your permission. Now, you'll remember what our parents would have told us growing up. Don't speak to strangers, don't get in a stranger's car, and don't let strangers into your house. The same's true for TV licensing agents. I wouldn't let anyone in, I wouldn't talk to anybody, save unless they had a warrant, and even then, I would want to check it and all of that sort of stuff. But, by the by, I'll come back to that in a minute. But there is a good reason, I believe, that they are suddenly coming out to say, we can enter your home without your permission, and it's this other headline here. Because this may raise the question of whether this is the start of the end of the TV licensing fee. Because this headline says, BBC TV licensing opens an investigation. But not into you this time, into UK households generally, after 500,000 households have cancelled their direct debits. Now, they've cancelled their direct debits presumably for a number of different reasons, but many of which might include that they just don't feel that it's fair to pay that anymore. Now, I am not on this video here to encourage anybody to break the law. If you watch or record live TV, or you watch BBC programmes on BBC iPlayer, or you install any apparatus for that purpose, which is the technical one, then you need a TV licence by law, and it's an offence to watch or do any of those things without a TV licence. However, that said, with so many things in the news lately, people might be upset with the BBC in general. Now, this video of mine is not a direct attack upon the BBC. Actually, there's a lot of the BBC which I think is very good. But I think this particular law and style of prosecution has inherent flaws with it, not least of which it disproportionately targets women, which I'll come back to in a minute, and the conviction rate is staggeringly high. It's well over 90% the last time I analysed this. Recent statistics show that over 47,000 people were prosecuted in a single year, and over 44,000 of those were convicted, meaning it's a successful prosecution rate of over 90%. And disproportionately, over 75% of those prosecuted and convicted were women. And that's where I bring in this very interesting story where Lee Day solicitors represented a lady in a claim against the BBC for discrimination to say that they took action against many more women than men every single year. In this case, Lee Day reported that the BBC agreed to pay £6,500 in compensation, although of course they denied the claims but agreed to undertake a gender disparity review to look at why women were disproportionately represented in their prosecutions. But this does raise the question as to what if a claim were brought generally for discrimination in this regard. But back to the original headline that sparked this video and many others, and Chili John Carney's in the first place, that said the BBC warns UK households that they can enter without permission. So let's look at what I would recommend if you get a visit from a TV licensing agent, whether they can enter, and a quick summary of when you need a TV license. But before I do that, there is one thank you mention that I'd like to make to somebody that recently emailed me. Now, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to someone that sent me a very sweet email to say thank you to me for making these videos, because they say that they've watched them for some time and it's made them much more cautious about opening links, attachments, and downloading files and things like that. They said that my videos has made them more diligent, more aware, and has stopped them from being scammed by one of these links, because they've been so much more aware, security conscious because of my videos, and so they didn't click through on a link which they then realized was actually just a scam. And so they asked how they can thank me. They didn't have very much money, but they wanted to thank me in some way. Now, the best way you can thank me is by watching my videos and supporting my partners for this channel. And I partner with companies that I genuinely believe will help you, and one of which is NordVPN. So this email was absolutely on point with one of my partners. NordVPN helps to protect your computer and keep you safe, which is what I try to do on this channel. Now, one thing that was absolutely relevant to this person's email to me was that they were probably about to fall victim to what we call session hijacking. Now, imagine that your browser on your internet, whether you're on Windows or Mac or whatever, if you are logged into your email, your bank, and even YouTube, if you've got a YouTube account and you're logged into these things, that's what we call a session on your browser. Now, a hacker that sends you to a malicious link or open a malicious file or something like that can then take all of the cookies and hijack your session, because there's what we call a session ID. NordVPN will help to prevent that from happening, because it encrypts all of your internet communication, which includes the session ID, which is the bit that they need to hijack your session and therefore take control of all of the active logins for your email, your banks, or YouTube, or whatever it might be that you're logged into at the time, Facebook even. They need that session ID to take over your session. But NordVPN will encrypt all of that traffic and help to prevent that from happening. If you visit dodgy websites or you try to download suspicious, malicious files, NordVPN will check all of that and alert you to what's happening. So whilst it's fantastic that my viewer was being diligent and didn't click through the link because they've watched my videos and they're a little bit more security conscious, the best thing would be to have something like NordVPN, so that if you are just caught off guard that one time and you do click the link, it's just done there and then, because their systems, if they are hijacking your computer, these hackers, it will happen in an instant. It will be so fast you won't even realize it. By the time you realize that you've clicked the link and it was wrong, all the damage is done. They will have access to your system. This is particularly relevant if you're out and about using public Wi-Fis in coffee shops, airports, or shopping centers, and you just need connection to your internet, and so you jump on their Wi-Fi. But again, NordVPN works across all of your devices, your phones, your iPads, your tablets, your laptops, and so on. NordVPN is relatively inexpensive, and you get a huge discount with up to 4 months extra free and up to 20 gigabytes of free roaming data for your phone on one of their packages. So signing up for these packages will help you, but that would also help me, because it supports my partner who supports my channel in continuing to bring these legal videos to you. So I thank that person for their email. I thank you for watching and supporting me and my partner on this channel. So the link's in the description below. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee, and thank you for watching this segment. So back to this headline, and to debunk the headline. The baseline is that TV licensing agents cannot enter your home without permission unless they have obtained a warrant. And in order to obtain a warrant, they need evidence to go to a magistrate to get that warrant. And the evidence will have to be sufficient to convince a magistrate or a district judge that it is likely that this offence is being committed on the premises. But there is a disparity here between what some people believe is evidence of the commission of the offence and what they might actually be doing. For example, if you were using BBC iPlayer to watch S4C, which is not a BBC programme, it is a partnered channel that is available on BBC iPlayer, then you don't need a TV licence just for that purpose. Only if you're watching BBC programmes provided on BBC iPlayer, then you would need a TV licence. As for any other TV channel anywhere in the world and on any device, then you would need a TV license if you're watching it or recording it live, and then and only then, it doesn't matter what device it was on, where in the world it was being broadcast from, you will need a TV license. But there is also a handy tip on the GB News website as to how millions of households could cut their bill from just under £170 to zero. And that is as follows. If you or someone you live with is over 74 years old and receives pension credit, you can apply for a free TV license. Pension credit can be in the name of the license holder or in the partner's name if you're a couple. And so you can check that article out as well, and there'll be more details about that there. But it seems to me that if 500,000 people have cancelled their TV license direct debit, TV licensing agents may try to be a little bit more pushy to come into your home to look for a TV. If they find a TV or any other TV device, they might then say that's sufficient evidence to do a full search of your home, and therefore they might try to obtain a search warrant. This begs the question as to whether we'll see a rise in the number of search warrants being issued and executed, and whether or not that increases the number of prosecutions even further. But the one thing that I would leave you with is this. If you do not need a TV license, then please don't be pressured into paying for one. If you do need one, then I can only recommend that you pay for one, because of course I can't recommend that you break the law, and it would be remiss of me to not warn you about the consequences of doing so. And so in summary, if you watch or record live TV, or you watch BBC programs on BBC iPlayer, or you install any apparatus for that purpose, and this is regardless of what device and from where in the world the TV broadcast is coming from, if it is live, and that includes a couple of minutes after or even an hour after, it is still considered to be live for the purposes of the legislation, then you will need to buy a license, and otherwise you are committing an offence. And you can be taken to court, and the average fine, I think, is £200 to £300, but it is up to a maximum of £1,000, and failing to pay that fine is a separate offence. So this can get out of control. On the flip side, it is a non-recordable offence, so it's not a criminal record in the traditional sense of the word. And so far as I'm aware, it won't show up on a standard DBS check, so it's not something that you need to be overly concerned about. It's not like you've been convicted of robbery or burglary or something like that. It is not a standard criminal record. However, as I said, I can only recommend that if you do meet the requirements for a license, then you need to pay for one. But at the same time, I'm fully against people admitting to something that they didn't do. I'm against someone paying for something that they don't need. And for what it's worth, there is a great deal of choice out there other than live TV. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think it's still a fair fee to pay? Do you think it's fair that over 90% of people are convicted who are prosecuted for this offence, many of whom have just pleaded guilty by post or simply didn't turn up, and they are found guilty in their absence by the single justice procedure? Do you think it's fair that over 75% of those prosecuted or convicted are women? I think that's disproportionately high and begs a review. Hopefully that review has been undertaken. But that one lady, at least reported by Lee Day, has been paid £6,500. It seems that that case didn't go all the way to court, and it was settled out of court. But either way, these are all still very valid questions. So I hope you found that interesting, intriguing, thought-provoking. Do check out NordVPN, because that will also obscure your IP address and make it virtually impossible for anyone to detect what you're doing online. The link's in the description below, along with the discount. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, and as always, thank you for watching.